trust the sincerity of the words that you're speaking today is one of inaction.
Supply chain issues with Pfizer as well as with Moderna.
And that is a very good point. Announcements don't make change.
Much of Southern Ontario, including Toronto and the GTA. 6 Cities' Madison Fitzpatrick joins us with details of the windy weather that's on the way. Madison.
The windy weather, yo.
So, Jana, I'm just happy
it's
not
a rainy day in the GTA.
Right now, we are looking at strong northwesterly winds into tomorrow evening. We'll see gusts up to 70 to 80 kilometers an hour.
You fuck that one up every other time you say it.
Afternoon. Environment Canada is
we got to double check with the government.
Winds can top loose objects and may cause some tree branches to break. And power outages are also possible with this weather. So maybe tonight, put some fresh batteries in your flashlights and make sure all your patio furniture is
figure out what your sump pump's going to run on. When the rain that's flooding your basement also contributed to taking down the power line.
Reporting live, I'm Madison Fitzpatrick.
Oh, and the tree branch smashed through your roof, so there's all sorts of water now.
Wow. All the vaccine attention. 6 Cities' Mama Correchi joins us with the latest.
Hey, I was right about the virus.
New York to get their fair share.
The province announcing as of the week of May 3rd, half of all vaccines will be given to hotspot areas. Markham Mayor Frank Scarpitti has been calling for the equitable distributions of vaccine to hotspots. So he tells me this is welcome news, but he still wants more details.
The coordinate block that's been given. How do you distribute it among the hotspots? That's where the
little baggies on the corner of my pocket.
And absolutely, we want to make sure that your region gets
better supply your own words.
Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown likes what he's been hearing, tweeting that this is what the mayors of Peel Region have been advocating for since the beginning of the year. It's also what the Ontario Science Table recommended. This is terrific news. While Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie calling for the entire region to be designated a hotspot so they can get more people vaccinated quickly. I'm Alman Qureshi.
The oxygen supply of an East End hospital is being stretched to the limit because of an influx in patients with COVID-19. Management at Michael Garrett Hospital tells 6 City News it reached out to other hospitals in the GTA and transferred a small number of its patients. A statement from Mark Pham, Vice President of Programs, also says the hospital brought on additional temporary oxygen capacity so that all of its patients in the hospital have what they need. Gas prices are next.
This is 680 News. When you call a Dell Technologies advisor, you get to talk to a real person who can provide tailored solutions that don't fit every small business, they fit yours. That's what it means to really listen. For solutions powered by Intel vPro platform, call an advisor at 310 Dell.
Now, the 6 City News gas price update and Pro predicting the price will increase 2 cents at midnight to just under $1.32 a liter. Traffic and weather together next.
Welcome to McDonald's. Right now, every order of fries helps families with sick children.
In that case, we'll take all the fries.
A portion of the proceeds.
So, there was no audio on the last part of that last video, but the tomato plants that were sitting here got mowed the fuck down in the night by the mice, apparently. They killed off some of the weaker ones, I guess.
I mean, as far as
and I'm pretty sure it was Highway 400. They probably won't mention it again.
Many heads rolled.
No, 400, yeah.
For failing their duty to protect our troops.
If you're relying on me to give you a traffic
update, today was, I mean, honestly,
just run right over.
Embarrassing. So we're going to talk about that in the show. We got a very busy show tonight. Lots going on. We'll go through all of that. And we'll talk a little bit about COVID. Lots going on in COVID news. We are cresting now. We're at the worst part of the third wave. And the science table came out and gave that modeling and said pretty much this is going to be the tough going for the next few weeks. And we may need more measures going in place. But nonetheless, we are at that cresting part, so hopefully we start to get better news. But the government says everyone 18 plus will be able to hopefully get their first shot by end of May. And now the federal conservatives are demanding that every Canadian adult get their first shot by May 24th. We'll talk to Michelle Rebel, who's the House critic, on this demand.
From Warden to Kennedy in the collectors. For the 680 Traffic Center, here's Craig Gear. A bit of a slow one still on the northbound DVP from Don Mills to North Lord. Still with a bumper on the Civ 400 south of Highway 88. So left lane's blocked off. That'll be a surprise when they pull into their driveway. Southbound 404, good shape.
Nah, they knew they should have put some more duct tape and coat hangers on that shit.
Is a slow stretch. DVP's in good shape though.
We're using the cheap twist eyes from the bread aisle, right?
Approaching Highway 7 off to the right lane. It's busy as you approach the 407. North 410 still with volume steals to north of Queen. Eastbound QEW, you guessed it, still slow. Trafalgar to 4.
Down at Queen and Coxwell, another in Brampton at Beauvert and Mississauga Road. Let's get Toronto vaccinated. Get the COVID vaccine when it's your turn. Book online at toronto.ca/COVID-19 or call 888-999-64.
The forecasters call in. Well, we have some of those heavy rain
There's
showers,
Queen and Clark
especially
Coxwell.
for
I don't know, I
areas
didn't hear the
traveling
rest
on the
of it.
410 or the 401. I'm looking at some of those pockets of heavy rain right now as you head towards Brampton, over towards Mississauga, heads up Etobicoke. You're going to see some more steady rain as we get into the next few minutes. North York heads up for you, and then this is going to continue a trek further eastward across the GTA. Temperatures tonight dropping down to 5
Don't
degrees.
kid yourself. When they say shit like that here, they're accurate.
Statement has been issued. It is super windy
I've seen them say,
tomorrow.
yeah, in about 10 minutes, you're going to have about 15 minutes of like horrible rain.
So it is going to be
just stop.
a really blustery day, and temperatures only getting to 7 degrees. So it's going to feel much colder, and we do have the chance for a few rain showers and some wet snowflakes for areas further
For whatever
north of the
reason, the
city,
mic
as well
don't seem to
towards
pick it up with
country.
this dehumidifier.
Low 0, so it's going to be a very cold evening, but we rebound for Saturday up to 12 degrees cloudy with some evening rain. Right now, it is 11 at Pearson, 11 at 680 News. Tonight's overnight low, 5 degrees.
This is 680 News. Several arrests have been made in the robbery and attempted murder involving Lady Gaga's dogs.
It was all caught on video. Lady Gaga's dog walker shot in the chest. 2 or 3 French bulldogs stolen in February. And then returned after Gaga offered a no questions asked $500,000 reward.
You know what that means? Every young blood out there is going, really? No questions asked. You're not going to tell the cops how we found this motherfucker, right?
She and the father also arrested. Detectives say the dogs were a target because they're a valuable breed, not because Lady Gaga is their owner. Jason Abramson, ABC News, Hollywood.
That makes you stupid.
This is 680 News.
Hi, Ente Longo here with the hot tip. Our delicious hot bar is now full service. Yep, the tastiest foods prepared fresh in-store and served up for you, ready to take home. Or have them delivered by Uber Eats. And for just $10, you can get tasty meals like meatballs and pasta. Order in-store or online for takeout. It'll be the best $10 you'll spend all week.
So, yeah, that makes you stupid. What were the dogs worth? $5,000 or some shit? You go out to see some people with money. And nobody's invincible, right? Anybody can be touched, but one of the big disincentives to stealing something from somebody like that, they can offer a much larger reward. Even the guy that helped you do the original crime is thinking, wow, no questions asked. I'll just hit this guy over the head and take him in. It's a disincentive to stealing their shit. And you shot a guy in the chest to get their dogs. You're dumb. You're dumb, because that'll piss somebody off, especially if it's a dog walker. That guy essentially died protecting their dogs, didn't they? Yeah, you're going to piss off somebody that has money.
Oh, yeah, sorry. The next window. Yeah, right over there. Thank you.
Looking for tips on how to talk with your teens about cannabis? Visit drugfreekidscanada.org for more.
The stay-at-home order is working, but
It doesn't show
mobility
that.
is still high.
Now, how come we're running out of oxygen?
We cannot let the new variants into our system at such a challenging time.
That's Dr. Stein.
Variants. You said it, ANCE. You heard it. We cannot allow the new variants.
Making vaccine distribution more equitable is also paramount. The Ford government's new paid sick days program has been signed into law in just one day. It includes 3 paid sick days, which the science table says is a good start, but not enough to prevent future outbreaks.
We don't need $200 per day if we don't even make, most of us, that much money. We need more days, dumbass. What the fuck is wrong with these people? Hey, if you make more than 100 or 200 a day, remember you don't need the money that bad either, do you? You need more days, don't you? Yeah, if you're thinking smart about it.
Real?
Because in the end, it all goes on your taxes. Smart people that have no money know what I'm talking about. It don't make sense to top up every last penny of the highest wage, but only for 3 days. That makes no sense. Let's hear more bad stuff about the military, please.
Toronto.
Remember, the guy that smashed through that fucking fence with the truck, oh, he had a whole bunch of guns and blah, 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 blah. These guys are like raping and killing women, and they very rarely get any fucking reprimand of any sort.
You're listening to On Point with Alex Pearson on Global News Radio.
Your long lost friend.
Mr. Trudeau is deviating from the directed use by the manufacturer, not based on science, David, but based on his failure to secure sufficient quantities. His chief science advisor has also questioned this because it is.
But they all stole each other's beats back in the day. They all did. All those white guys
by the
pop music shit.
NACI themselves acknowledged they were only taking the decision, the very unusual decision they took, because of a shortage of supply. Where does that all come back to? Mr. Trudeau's failure.
That is Conservative leader Aaron O'Toole blaming a lack of vaccines for the delay in second doses. And you know I got my shot
Go to
today.
the taxi cab into the East
and I guess that's just how it's going to be done. And only getting one dose means we're not fully vaccinated. And right now, that talking
point, but now you need 3 and 4 and 5 doses, and you get to mix and match them.
Well, I'm sorry. You got to look at the big picture.
One J&J.
2.7% of Canadians are fully vaccinated.
The half dose of the AstraZeneca.
That's like, what, 1 million people?
How about one of those Sputnik V's?
Until we're vaccinated. So today, the Conservatives drew a line in the sand demanding that all eligible Canadians get at least one shot by the May 24 weekend. Is it doable? Well, let's ask. Michelle Ruffel-Garner is Conservative MP for Calgary and a shadow minister for health from Western Mississippi Health Critic. She joins us now. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Is it doing? We have administered 13 million vaccines so far, another 6 million coming, assuming the deliveries arrive from Pfizer. I guess the government's looking at it saying that people will have one shot by June. And then the Ford government today said 18 and over should be done close to May 24th weekend. What are you saying? Is it doable, or is this a test to make sure that they can actually get the deadlines?
We have to start setting targets and deadlines.
On the Canadian calendar, May the 24th is always the holiday Monday.
The goalposts keep moving on vaccine delivery with the federal government. And we need to set deadlines for so many reasons.
Stop using them words.
Obviously for health and safety, to the spread of COVID,
the plan
to give people hope in terms of benchmarks for reopening, but also what you alluded to in the opening of this segment. It's really concerning that we don't have a clear line of sight on when people are going to be getting their second doses. Less than 3% of Canadians are fully vaccinated, and there's emerging data that raises serious concerns about immunity waning in people, specifically persons that have received one dose of the Pfizer vaccine. So there's just so many questions that are left unanswered, so much uncertainty without these clear benchmarks, and that's why we're saying, look, make it happen. Other countries are doing it. We're tired of the shifting goalposts. We need to start seeing some real clarity.
Mr. O'Toole mentioned that our option should be to talk to the President of the United States.
Is expected to land in India today.
$100 million
Air Force Base in California. Meanwhile, the U.S. mission in India has approved a voluntary departure of staff family members due to the dire COVID-19 outbreak there. The State Department also advises Americans in the country to take advantage of available commercial transportation options. Aid from Russia and Britain landed there earlier this week. Alex Crochet, ABC News, Washington.
Traffic and weather together next.
Scott McGilvery here.
So we have a windmill down at the exhibition place that, if I remember correctly, costs $800,000 to build. You could buy in for $500, and it paid 8% or something like that at first. And they add things to it over the years. It now generates hydrogen. You know what that means? It also generates oxygen. If you run direct current through water, you get hydrogen and oxygen. And there's no reason for any of these places to be running out of fucking oxygen. There's literally no reason. I'm in Toronto, and so if you don't know or you don't see this where you live, I'm used to seeing trucks or trains or whatever. I did with oxygen. It's typically truck trailers, which makes me think it's being produced somewhere local. Maybe somewhere else would come in on a train. For example, Air Liquide, AIRE. It's French for liquid air. or any of the hospitals, if you go by, you'll see a gigantic tank. It looks similar to a propane tank, a barbecue filling station at a gas station, but it's an oxygen tank. Just as fucking much of a problem if it leaks with a open flame nearby. But the oxygen tank, you'll see wherever it's the pipes are coming out of it will be covered in ice, because as it decompresses, because it's compressed to a liquid. As it decompresses to a gas, it soaks up, I don't know how to explain it. The same amount of heat energy in a larger space drops the temperature, so it'll soak up the heat all around and condense water onto the, what would you call that pipe, an evaporator? And that pipe, there's pipes there that run through the whole hospital. They're not hauling around individual cylinders all the time. The machinery that doesn't move and all that shit, there's fucking vents in the wall, ports in the wall to hook people up. There are oxygen tanks, but that's for when you're moving somebody. Like there'll be all the hospital wheelchairs have this round carrier thing on the back, like a metal thing where you can drop an oxygen tank in there. I think you could put like a welder's tank there too. There's no reason for them to be running out. There's a hospital in Toronto running low on oxygen. That doesn't make sense, because with a phone call, a truck should be able to deliver some. That's ridiculous.
Onto the 401 ramps. And we had an issue in Mississauga, Southbound Mavis at Bristol.
So there's the oxygen concentrators work differently than what I was just talking about. There's electrolysis that separates water into its components, which is oxygen and hydrogen. And then there's oxygen concentrators, which from the atmospheric air, they basically, I don't know how to explain this. They increase the percentage of oxygen by decreasing the percentage of everything else in a way.
Continue its trek over towards Scarborough.
Those machines can just be left to keep running all the time and always produce oxygen. The tanks might eventually run out. If you have a windmill producing hydrogen for your stupid fuel cells, Ballard Power in BC makes fuel cells. The buses in Vancouver run on hydrogen. They produce water vapor for exhaust.
Very cloudy with showers in the evening, and then Sunday 18 with mainly cloudy conditions.
So you can bottle the hydrogen, and I suspect they're venting the oxygen to the air. I wonder. They should be bottling all the oxygen. These things should be located near these types of facilities.
When you fully understand
I could demonstrate it with a battery and some water, but I would need like 2 little test tubes or something. I could do it. We've done it in school. You've probably done it in school too.
Coming up at 7, the province's COVID-19 science table unveiling data that suggests we're on to a good start.
It's the exact opposite of making a battery out of a lemon. It's the opposite of that. It's just you use electricity, you make water and hydrogen. If you had a fuel cell, you could reverse it again and turn the hydrogen back into electricity.
Life is not a dress rehearsal. And this Mother's Day, the one day dedicated to moms, is your chance to show her how grateful you are. Moms are the rock, the glue.
$4.50 per warrant, we get to buy up to 20% of Air Transat. That sounds helpful.
The pair of white gold Tears of Joy earrings from Spence for $1.99. As priceless as Mom is, she's more than worth it. Spence Diamonds. Find us in Vaughan, Scarborough, and Mississauga.
When you need to know. Breaking news. Much like Boxing Day, the entire province is headed for lockdown traffic.
Only if the rain lane blocked off with a broken-down transport truck with a lost a wheel earlier. It's being worked on by heavy snow. OPP on scene.
Just a weak system passing through in the morning with some heavy flurries, reducing visibility through that morning commute.
When you need to know.
We're here.
This is 680 News.
Ontario has now administered more than 5 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine. Dr. Lawrence Lowe is Peel's medical officer of health and says that region has administered 500,000 doses with 100,000 shots a week over the coming weeks.
You're looking at 5 to 6 weeks till we get to about 1 million, 1.1 million, getting close to that magic number of 70% of our population in herd immunity, which really speaks to the idea the fastest way through is still relying on our mass clinics as our backbone. And I think it's the easiest way to think about those mass clinics.
Lowe says they have vaccinated 70% of those over the age of 60 with at least one dose. Business is next.
Ontario's COVID-19 vaccine plan is helping to stop the spread and save lives. Until we're all vaccinated, we need to stay the course. Wear a mask, wash your hands, keep your distance. We've come so far together, and thousands of people.
I need that in the text-to-speech computer voice. Wear a mask. Wash your hands. Keep your distance. I need that with the pedometer on my phone going off every 30 seconds. Wear a mask. Wash your hands. Keep your distance. 10,322 steps. It eliminates the need to talk to people. They hear you coming.
McDonald's fries. The official fries of the Toronto Raptors three-pointers.
Yeah, because those guys eat fast food all day long, I'm sure.
Good evening, Amazon. Just making money hand over fist. It's been certainly one of the
and doing nothing to help the jungle. Thanks.
Home pandemic lockdown trade, and here's Amazon.com tonight reporting first quarter profit of $8.1 billion, up more than threefold on a year-over-year basis, way ahead of analyst expectations. Revenue coming in at $108.5 billion, up 44%. Amazon has made more money during the pandemic, during the past year, than the 3 years before the pandemic. And, you know, it's diversified its business too. Amazon noting that its cloud division saw revenue growth of 32%. The company saw its stock hit a record high in the extended trade tonight. It was up 4%. And we got some news out of the restaurant sector. McDonald's reporting its first quarter of global sales growth since the pandemic began. Mickey D's global sales of 7.5% year on year in the first quarter, very much led by the United States, where sales were up more than 13.5%. McDonald's noted that the stimulus checks in the United States helped, but more so, a new chicken sandwich in the United States.
If you tell people money's coming, but they don't know when,
chicken sandwich here
on that day when they go to the bank, whatever, and get the money, guess what? They're fucking hungry.
Continuing unabated. KFC just today.
Let's go to the grocery store and take another fucking hour to get some food before we get home. You're gonna fucking spend it on fast food somewhere.
Did at lunch. KFC,
the world's second largest landlord. The first is the Catholic Church.
Today, going back to its IPO in the 60s, $235 at the close. The TSX was down 101 points today, but Wall Street higher. The Dow up 239. The Nasdaq up 31 points. Price of gold higher, $1,770, and the Canadian dollar keeps on rising up to 81.42 cents US. This is 680 News.
Imagine. So what I said is just pure conjecture. I made it up. They're not buying Air Transat. That was business report news before. On the 26 minutes, they're not going to mention it again. Watch, they just won't mention it again. That's your money, by the way. So 20% of Air Transat at $4.50 per warrant / share or whatever. And I don't remember how many shares total. 20% is a significant amount. You have to report if, as an individual, if you own more than, I don't know, let's say you own 9% of a company and you want to increase it to 10, you got to report shit like that, or past 10 or whatever. We're going to own 20% with taxpayer money, essentially, or however you want to look at it. They issue the budget process creates the money, and then we pay interest forever. This is how it works in Canada.
Schools won't be safe until transmission is under control. A message from the Elementary Teachers
Should have got the COVID-19 transmission, the Dodge Ramadan. I want an electric charger.
Over 30 years of custom decks and happy customers. Hickory Dickory Decks offers a wide selection of low maintenance decking.
No, because it opens the door for so many problematic communications. I'm looking for a place to plug in my charger. I mean, you're looking for a charger. No, I have a charger. I'm looking for somewhere to plug in my electric charger. I'm gonna keep them going.
Number one for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News.
That'd be good, motherfucker.
It's Thursday, April 29th. I'm James Monroe.
I'm Slijana Tibbins. Here are the top stories right now.
The province's latest COVID-19 projections show cases are flattening, but pockets of growth remain in hotspots like Toronto and Peel, and test positivity rates are still high across Ontario.
The Doug Ford government reveals the schedule to get every Ontario adult a COVID vaccination.
This is exciting news.
Age brackets and dates coming up.
It's going to be a very gusty Friday in the GTA with a special weather statement issued for strong winds up to 80 kilometers an hour.
David Riddick has the crease. The shorthanded Maple Leafs take on Vancouver. Raptors are in Denver at 9 o'clock, and it's NFL Draft Day. Sports at 15.
Amazon's pandemic boom showing no signs of letting up. A massive earnings reporting from the company. TSX low Nova records in New York business at 26.
680 News Time, 7:01.
Traffic and weather together on the ones. He's here, Craig here.
This report is brought to you by the Gardeners. At 427, we had an issue blocking
He's here, Craig here.
401, but it's been cleared away, so these delays coming off of
Traffic guy of the year or some shit, right?
Much better. Non-existent.
What happened to the bumper? Tell us what's in ladders.
Slow up as you
Carpet,
approach
something.
4 Drive, but it's pretty much gone now. It's looking good pretty much everywhere else too, but northbound 410, a bit of volume in between Steeles and north of Queen. Northbound 427, it's still slow from approaching the 407 all the way up to the top. Southbound on the 404 as you approach Shepherd and the collectors to the 401 ramps, you're going to find it a bit of a busy
Located
one.
at several
Northbound
sites in
DVP
Western
is also
Australia
still slowing.
and Southern Africa. It'll be jointly funded, built, and operated by more than 10 countries.
That's the hourly news. This will be the Beijing hour, I think.
This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday.
Now here's your host, Shane Bigham with you on this Friday, April 30th, 2021. You're listening to the Beijing Hour, live from the Chinese capital. On today's program, China successfully launched the core module of its new space station. The U.S. is urging its citizens in India to leave that country as COVID-19 cases continue to surge in record numbers. And the U.S. will send additional troops to Afghanistan in order to assist with the American military's withdrawal from that country. In business, how the new economy is driving IPOs in Hong Kong. In sports, the CBA finals are even 1 minute apiece.
Starting next week, Major General Danny 410, who is responsible for the rollout of vaccines.
With that case scenario.
No.
Well, Dr. Brown wasn't the only one offering a blunt assessment of the new paid sick leave bill. NDP leader Andrea Horwath calls it pathetically inadequate during a global pandemic that can make people sick for at least 14 days. Well, federal officials say there will be a massive ramp-up of COVID-19 vaccine doses starting next week. Major General Danny 410, who is responsible for the rollout of vaccines across the country, told an Ottawa news conference that Canada has received its first doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which will go out to the provinces within days.
We also received 300,000 doses of the Janssen vaccine earlier this week. Vaccines arrived last night. They will go through a thawing process and be prepared for use. Once shipments are repackaged, deliveries will start to provinces, and this is expected at the beginning of next week.
Well, 410 says Pfizer-BioNTech is ramping up dose delivery starting next week, with 24 million doses expected to arrive by the end of June. Well, it was almost 3 months ago that Global News first reported of allegations of sexual misconduct within the Canadian Armed Forces, and now Defense Minister Harjit Sajjan is launching an independent external review. But as Global's Mike Ligator explains, the feds say they are also committed to set up an external reporting system for incidents of misconduct.
That system will be outside of the chain of command, and there will be a new chief of professional conduct and culture.
We must embrace the independent external comprehensive review and the accountability that it will bring. We have to welcome scrutiny with humility.
General Ayer added, there is no silver bullet for culture change, but this is also this government's second shot at tackling this issue. In 2015, the Deschamps report recommended the establishment of an independent agency for reporting misconduct.
We accept that
Every time I say something you don't like, you're going to start dumping on
as intended by its author. We're not going to interpret the report this time. We're going to implement it.
Well, the GTA's top stories on demand. Set your Alexa flash briefing to play 640 Toronto. In sports, two teams on opposite ends of the NHL's North Division clash tonight in Toronto as the Maple Leafs get set to host the Canucks. The first-place Maple Leafs have already booked their ticket to the playoffs, while Vancouver trying their best to hold on, sit 1 point beneath Ottawa for dead last in the
which can reduce the consumption of propellants. China's
newly passed legislation saying mom or dad with a sick child at home or symptoms related to COVID-19 need to stay home and be paid.
Canada is in effect.
Like I said, that was the hourly news. This will be world today, business today.
Today, provide you with in-depth news and expert analysis.
Canada warning of incoming high winds. 680's Madison Fitzpatrick has a look at what's coming our way. Madison.
On your next space station, U.S. President Joe Biden.
Winds seeing gusts up to 70 to 80 kilometers an hour.
Just say 80.
Into the
Jesus. You know, 70 to 80. Say 80.
It's going to be a great day to stay indoors.
Not only is it going to be blustery, it's going to feel really cold because also
No
temperatures
shit. Wind chill. We're going to be soaking wet.
The double digits tomorrow. We're likely hanging around 6 to
Gee,
9 degrees
the
for a
coming
daytime
hours will
high.
bring
So it's
in-depth
not going to be a
analysis
warm
of this
day.
news
It's going to be
and
a
other
blustery.
stories will be following. So listen to this episode again.
All you're going to talk about is space station and Joe Biden. That's an interesting.
Calls to launch on Thursday, a critical first step.
Today, the launch is a very great achievement for China Aerospace because, you know, that the long march part
movement into and around the province.
Good Lord, what more do they want? Don't bring me down. Yes, Dr. Steiny Brown, bringing me down. Bringing me down today because here we are, variants making up 98% of cases. And while cases are cresting, as we're told, in this third wave, we are nowhere near back to normal. And the shocking part of this for me is what we're learning about surgeries. And if you want to weigh in this conversation, if you're one of these people who are waiting for surgery, got bumped from surgery, haven't even bothered to get checked if you need something for surgery or some health ailment, you can give us a call at 416-870-6400.
Supposedly, I need hydroxyurea and I have a tooth that's rotten out, but for some reason I can't feel it. So.
People are now.
I see these 110-year-old Chinese people. They got like 6 rotted teeth in their mouth. Like 110, you still got teeth. Wow.
For these
don't bother you? Like fuck.
And the only way, by the way, we're getting these cases to go down is if we stay locked up like we are and have more restrictions. And then they're saying by June we might get to about 1,000 cases, which is still pretty high. But nonetheless,
it smells so well.
The big thing I took away from today is not that we're still upside down.
It's
this comment from Steiny Brown.
Our healthcare system is no longer functioning normally.
Monty
We're taking the most critically ill
McNaughton,
patients,
we're
putting them in helicopters and into ambulances,
stick-up kids,
and moving them across the province because we're searching for beds. Nurses and doctors are attending to patients in field hospitals. We are now backlogged 250,000 surgeries.
What if that voice was rapping?
I'm grateful for the providers from across Ontario and across Canada who've rallied to help our most challenged hospitals. It's important to note that this is an incredibly challenging time for our health system, and that has not changed, even with the crest in the case numbers.
United States, in my head.
That's incredible. 225, 200,000, that's a lot of surgeries backlogged. And that's just people
diagnosed. I'm gonna get my fucking
because we know a lot of people aren't getting checked out.
Refill?
Some people will completely miss the window to what needs to be checked out. I mean, we've had oncologists on the show warning of a massive cancer case pandemic.
I don't have the painkillers. It just does start hurting.
Getting to the doctor or getting things checked out. We had a crappy delayed system before.
Oh, really?
So I do not know.
Tell us, Miss Angry White Gal. Tell us, Angry White Gal. Tell them why you angry, White Gal.
By COVID. I mean, really, the only way we can fix it is by having a very honest conversation about our very old and broken healthcare system and changing the way we do health. Otherwise, that backlog is just going to be years long. But let's hear from you of where things stand in your life as far as your health check, and whether it's been sidelined by COVID. And we get Mike calling from beautiful Muskoka. At least, Mike, you've got
This is
Muskoka.
Mike from Muskoka, you lying motherfucker.
You got there, Mike?
So, Your Honor, I would say if the fingerprints were not left in THC resin, they're not mine, really.
He ain't talking. All right, let's go to, I'm not going to drop that. I'm going to put that hold, see if we can get Mike back on. So I'll move to Brian. Brian, stuck in Toronto in lockdown alongside with me. What's your health history situation? Boy, are we having problems with the phones tonight?
No, you're with Rogers. Fuck.
Looks like we're having some trouble with the phone. Bear with us now. We're going to try to fix it. It might be something on my end. As you know, I'm not exactly the greatest on phones. But it does say you are on air, but I just cannot hear you. Let's try it again. Do we have him, Corey?
It's enough to keep you on the road for the extra scenic route.
All right, so I don't know how to ready this. I'm trying to get to your calls. But they just ain't, for whatever reason, going over the air.
Microsoft Communications, which is owned by Rogers.
I'm just going to talk now, because that's what you have to do when you can't make things work. I'll get Corey.
Which is odd, because Fido used to wholesale
as to when
shit
we
from
get
Rogers.
the callers, and we can get some of their views, because
Jesus.
I do hear from a lot of you, and you tell me that you either haven't gotten checked out, checked up, or diagnosed for things that you know are happening. And the problem is, once you're outside the window, you know, then it's too late for a lot of people. We got Mike? We have Mike. Let's try to talk to Mike. Hi, Mike. Can you hear us?
Mike, the TV.
Yeah, I can. How are you?
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
I'm okay. I'm okay. How's your health? How's it being affected?
I've been waiting for a surgery since early February, and I have a concrete way that we could help alleviate a little bit of the backlog that's going on.
Uh-oh.
I learned basically I need an MRI before the surgeon can proceed. It took a couple of months to see the surgeon, and I saw him about a month ago. He said, we'll schedule you for an MRI. So
11 months from
today
now.
I get the call, your MRI is September 13th.
Jeez.
And the problem I have, I'm not going to make it till September 13th. I'll be back in emergency in weeks.
Motherfucker.
So I figured, okay, I'm going to pay for an MRI.
Oh, shit.
And I found out today that I'm not allowed to pay for an MRI in Ontario.
No, you're not.
I didn't know if you knew that.
You could go, but no, you can't. But you might be able to drive across the border, which you shouldn't have to do, Mike. I mean, you just shouldn't have to do that.
Okay, I got
but
the
the fact that you would have to wait till September, I mean, we're talking 5-6 months from now. That's unacceptable.
It's utter insanity.
It took me about 3 days to get an MRI while I was on the psych ward, and that's why I don't complain too much about being on the psych ward that time.
Pay the corporation back, or I could have a sports
It took about 3 days.
pay for the MRI.
They came and got me. Hey, go over your MRI. I'm like,
as
really?
an individual, the government is telling me I cannot take my own money and pay.
My grandfather wasn't allowed to pay for heart surgery
in Ontario. It's absolutely ludicrous. Half the provinces in Canada allow people to pick the phone up, call for an MRI, get one next week, pay the $500.
500?
Why in Ontario?
That's
this utterly asinine legislation. In my opinion, if I go pay for an MRI, I lessen the lineup load for all the people waiting until September 13th.
That is a valid
But
argument.
it's very, very expensive, Mike. And the bottom line is, if we have such a great universal system, you shouldn't have to do it. I'm gonna join another call. I can't hang up on Mike because I don't have that ability right now on my computer for whatever reason, and I'm gonna try to get Brian on. Brian, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're having some kind of technical issue there.
I'm always having technical issues. I am nothing but an issue, but nonetheless, what's your health status right now?
White gals.
Well, I got a couple of chronic conditions with 2 separate specialists in Toronto, and it's a bottleneck. Like, am I going to drop dead while I'm on this phone call? I'm pretty sure I'm not.
Union of Socialist Canadian Provinces.
This is getting so bad that I hear Michael Guerin Hospital, I think it was yesterday, reached inventory level of oxygen that was into some kind of not urgent zone, but
I heard that too, but then I heard Dr. Isaac Bogosh was not so sure about that. So I'm gonna still.
No, that's not good enough.
I'm gonna put that with
You're
a tiny
not
grain of
sure.
salt
You're
until I
not
hear
sure.
another
That's not
source
good
from
enough.
that. But I did hear that as well. But the fact is, you haven't gone for a checkup over 2 years, and you could have something wrong and you won't know it. But you might, you won't get COVID, but you might get something else.
Well, we've got an unbelievable number of people. I'm sure of it. A number of people out there. This situation is not unique, and it's not a small-sized issue.
It's 23:15 o'clock. It's 23:15 o'clock.
Whatever we're going to do next, the only option I can see is to tighten things down to get this emergency unit situation under control. Tighten down, stay at home,
Just imagine if I left my weed out in a plastic bag. Those mice would be all over it.
They're going to have to forego it because people are dying.
They are, and thanks for your call, Brian. I want to get a couple of other people in here. The problem is, you got to live life. I mean, it's not just a patio. I mean, that's someone's business. But we have to be human, and we've been locked down for a bloody long time, and it's not going to remedy this thing. Not until we all get vaccinated, which is happening at a dribble. Rick calling from Aaron. What's your health status?
Aaron. Where is Aaron? Oh, this one was in Toronto, right? Oh.
Okay, hold on. Gotta put him on hold and get back to you. I'll get back to you, Rick, so don't hang up. Can I answer the call from Adam in Lindsay? Hey, Adam, can you hear me? I don't know. Do I have Adam? No. So I can't get Adam. I don't know if we can do that back at the station of trying to get him on, but for whatever reason, I can't get you on. And I wanted to get your call because his father suffered pancreatitis, and had to have a stent put in. Should have been taken out, got delayed. Father went into septic shock again and still hasn't had the stent removed. That's outrageous, frankly. That is not acceptable in a G7 nation. Oh, I think we've got him. All right. Do we have you, Adam?
Yeah, you got me right here.
All right. Sorry, we're having some phone issues. But nonetheless, so your dad needs this stint out, and he's going to have to wait months. Otherwise, he's going to have to...
you excluded Russia.
Do what?
Honestly, I don't know at this point. In 2019, he was first brought into the hospital because of life-threatening septicism, whatever it's called. The doctors found out that it was a combination of his pancreas and his gallbladder failing. So they wound up putting a stent in at that point. They were supposed to remove it about 4 to 6 months later, but the appointment somehow got forgotten about by his doctor. So June 2020, he wound up having to get admitted to the hospital again. It wound up being at that point that, again, it was life-threatening. He wasn't even conscious. When they finally wound up seeing him then, he had to be on a course of antibiotics for 5 days in the hospital. He was supposed to continue it outside, and again, he was supposed to be brought back as soon as the infection was under control. It got forgotten again, and it was, I think, the beginning of this year. It was either late December or early January where, again, it happened again. And it's partially our fault for not staying on top of it with the doctors, but he was admitted again, another course of antibiotics. He was supposed to, again, go in and get his gallbladder removed, pancreas removed, and something done with his gallbladder. But just last night at 6 o'clock, I got a call from my sister saying that he was being rushed to hospital again, that his face was entirely engorged and yellow. He was delirious. Unable to walk on his own accord.
Shock syndrome.
We didn't get an update until 11 o'clock this morning saying that that's what they thought it was again, which we were already sure of.
G7 nation.
We still haven't gotten test results. We still don't know what's going to happen, but he's on another course of antibiotics, and he's in extreme pain.
Yeah.
They're already end-of-life care.
Wow. Yeah, and so it's not.
And you're not allowed to sue.
He's just the collateral damage. We hear this all the time, and I think we're frankly, and I appreciate your call, Adam, and I hope very much for you and your family that your dad gets the help he needs. But we look at it as we call it collateral damage. We've dumbed down this talking point, neutralized to the point where people who are getting COVID and are dying of other things or getting sick from other things, they're just collateral damage. Yeah. Oh well, at least you didn't get COVID. I mean, give me a break. I mean. We have how many people that need surgery? They're not going to get it anytime soon.
Did you hear Bob's dead? Oh my God, what happened? He got hit by a bus. Bob got hit by a bus, yeah. Well, at least it wasn't COVID.
What really needs to happen here with Medicare, which is that we've got to open it up and we have to create some kind of private and public care so that we can open up the system. Because we can't deliver and continue to deliver the garbage that's being delivered. And that's not a slight in any way to the frontline workers because it's not their fault. But the system is broken. And COVID has just made it 10 times worse. So it wasn't great before. All right, we'll hopefully fix the phone issues. I don't have more time for calls on that, but I do appreciate you calling. We've had some phone issues, but we'll get that hopefully remedied by tomorrow. We will be back in just a minute. We've got lots to talk about with our global talkers, so we'll do that. And then we'll talk to a gentleman who's decided to take up the hobby of making candles. And if you ever want to know what Toronto smells like, we can make one for you. Not sure what it smells like. I have a few things I could say it smells like. But
there are Toronto candles now.
Alex Pearson here.
One of which is called vehicle exhaust. I'm not joking.
Time now for a check on the roads with a look at chopper traffic. Here's Ari Rabinovich.
Highways trouble-free, but still...
Are you either self-righteously pissed or at least understanding why a whole bunch of us are? Oh.
Michael. Soft and connected to this station and be a permanent part of this station. So that will be a high level and technological speaking, it is possible.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Yang. That's a very informative.
It looks like it's swinging back and forth like 2
That's
feet.
Professor Yang Yuguang,
like
Professor
that far
of China Aerospace Science and Industry Corporation Limited. Coming up, Biden addresses U.S. Congress on the eve of his 100th day in office. This is Where Today. Stay with us.
That was the part I didn't care about. Damn it.
In our country, the pandemic is having a strong rebound in some Asian countries, which puts pressure on us to guard against imported cases. We need to keep up with prevention and control measures and not let our guard down. Only if everyone keeps up with the work can we maintain the situation where we have had the virus under control.
The expert also advised holidaymakers to follow safety protocols such as social distancing, mask wearing, and frequent hand washing. For the Beijing Hour, I'm Fu Yu.
Chinese CDC director is calling for broader international cooperation in vaccinations to combat COVID-19. The director also says the World Health Organization should play a leading role in the effort. Feifei has more.
As an increasing number of countries have been administering COVID-19 inoculations, proposals to launch vaccine passports have been taking place to allow vaccinated individuals to travel between countries. Director of China's Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Gao Fu, hopes WHO will take the lead in the
Those aren't the people you want wandering around. Those are the people you want locked down.
Addresses are usually like, and this being an address to a joint session of Congress,
they won't have the inherent
presidency, it is very much the same.
They won't exhibit sickness
a laundry
behavior,
list of things that the president wants to see passed by Congress.
Biden.
A new color in their cheeks.
What? Is this guy?
When that shiny truck from 1-800-GOT-JUNK arrives at your house, it's a sign of
so excited.
In terms of moving from one of those points of view to the other. I mean, you have the 1920s where there's the feeling that government should be small and that the economy and the business should be the prime mover of what's happening in the society. And of course, that leads to the lack of national leadership when the Depression comes in and the crisis that FDR confronts. And his very first inaugural talks about the fact that it wasn't the people's fault, it was the lack of leadership. And he intends to provide that leadership and will call Congress into an emergency session and have action now, where the government will help with the problems that the people are feeling. And then suddenly there are headlines in the newspaper, the government still lives. We have a leader. So that's the beginning, in a certain sense, of that transference.
But with a quick change from winter to Toyota recommended all-season tires, you'll extend the life of your winter tires and enjoy a quieter ride on your all-season tires, which are designed for warmer temperatures. Contact your nearest Ontario Toyota dealer today and get the right tires at the right price, thanks to our price match promise.
And tell them to check for technical service bulletins and recalls, because the Toyota Venza side impact airbags, curtain, whatever, the wiring in the door may become damaged from normal. Keep it up, Shomo. You're getting angry that we're giving out facts. You hate that. So it might become damaged from normal use, and the airbag will not deploy when you need it. But they won't tell you that on the commercials. They just want you to get your car to the dealership so they can run the numbers as part of their normal process.
Consultation at chorus.online/radio today.
Just tell us more about this medical shit.
The perfect balance of information and entertainment that shapes your opinions and your day. We are your news talk leader, 640 Toronto.
You're gonna ruin my buzz. Like, I'm sitting on this joint and just the timings, I knew they're about to come back.
Leaving the rhetoric and excuses at the door. This is Global Top Talkers on Global News Radio.
All right, hello there. 7:24 on a chilly, wet, kind of yucky Thursday. That was closer to the end. All right, it is time for our Global Talkers, and we got lots to talk about. There's always lots to talk about these days, so let's bring him in. We got Peter Sherman, of course, part of the Global News Radio 640 team, and Dave Woodard, senior reporter for our Global News Radio 640 Toronto newsroom. Hi, guys.
What a team.
Indeed. What a day of news. Just as I was getting my vaccine shot, I was
just so you know, I've been listening to the news
watching Defense Minister Arjun go into what was a vomit-inducing apology and rambling, nothing, talking about, independent and external reviews into sexual misconduct into the armed forces led by the Supreme Court Justice Louis Arbour. He calls it bold. I'll start with you, Peter, because you've been in politics. We don't need another external review because we had one 6 years ago and they just never put the recommendations in. I mean, what was your takeaway? I thought the man was going to resign today, but then of course this government's too arrogant for that. So what was your takeaway from today?
Well, my takeaway is that it's a great big nothing burger. I mean, you said it right. How many inquiries do you want?
Now I want to go to Great Big Nothing Burgers, but they're closed. Let's go to the drive-thru. You're not allowed to go to the drive-thru without a car.
Nothing changed, and since then, 500 plus sexual attacks. Oh, but now we're serious. This one with Madam Justice Arbour, she's a heavy, so that'll be a good one, and then we'll have the goods, and that'll put an end to these attacks. But no, it won't. It's cultural. You want to fix it? You get in and you fix it. And by the way, it's time to dump that minister, Harjit Sajjan, who I don't know, he wasn't there, but maybe he was, and maybe he was listening, but only with his left ear, and somebody was whispering in his right ear, and maybe the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff, Katie Telford, knew something, and maybe she didn't, and maybe she said something to Trudeau, or maybe she didn't. I mean, stop it already. Given COVID and how we've been BS'd along the way with that, I've got to ask the question: how stupid do we seem to be? This is you don't need another inquiry. You need to fix what's wrong.
I think they do think we're pretty stupid, Dave, because they've gotten away with every other scandal. They just go away. They keep getting elected, and we just keep taking the hits. But General Vance was brought in to bring Operation Honor. This was supposed to stamp out sexual harassment and sexual misconduct.
I forgot about that detail. Yeah, they are correct.
Between 2016 to 2021, there were hundreds of complaints logged, and yet even when there were more than rumors, there were actual allegations, actual Me Too allegations against him, and this government extended the contract and gave him $50,000. So what? We're just gonna is the apology enough and the investigation now?
Russell Williams.
What's interesting? Operation Honor became kind of a punchline to many
serious
people
they take shit like
that work in the military, even that looked at the system and said this just doesn't work. We know that reports, there were these 500 reports that were investigated, but we know just based on regular data on sexual assault that that's only the tip of the iceberg. I think that there's nothing wrong with having another review. I think the problem is exactly what Peter said, is that it's time to get in and do something. A review is going to help things certainly change in 6 years. I don't think that having a secondary review, especially with Madam Justice Arbour, is going to be a negative thing. But I think that for the most part, and I think that this is what it's looking like when people look at Ottawa, is that this is just a reason to put off what is necessary.
Major Kelly Brennan said that she will not get justice, but she was speaking out so that other people could be protected. And it's very clear, Peter, that no heads are going to roll for this unless the voters make those heads roll.
That's right, and God bless her. And Dave is 100% right. This is like standing around a campfire and throwing in $100 bills, $1,000 bills, $10,000 bills, whatever you want, because these kinds of inquiries go years, and they cost literally hundreds of thousands. Sometimes they cost millions. And then at the end of the day, we get more or less the same as what we had before. We know there's a problem. We know, without accusing anybody, that there are two former, or at least on the sideline, chiefs of defense who are under investigation for something to do with sexual proclivities. Maybe they're totally innocent. I don't know. But that's the job of Mr. Sajjan's office to find out. It's the job of the Internal Investigation Unit of the Canadian Forces to find out. It's not Madame Justice Arbour's job to find out, and to find out what's been going on for the past 6 years since the last inquiry told us we had a problem.
And I can do that review for very, very little money and zero time. It goes like this. Don't be a D-bag and treat each other with respect, or you'll be kicked out or fired. The end. Let me take a quick break here, and then we'll talk about some of the other day's stories, including this massive backlog of surgeries that I don't know how we're going to get through unless we have an honest conversation about healthcare. And we'll talk about a comment that a Toronto-based politician said and he's been called to task for it, but does where he comes from give him an excuse? We'll talk about that. Stay with us here. We'll get back to our Global Talkers in just a minute. On Point here on Global News Radio. Order Pizza Bill's 2 pizza special. Get 2 large pizzas, 2 toppings combined for only $21. Contactless pickup or delivery available when you order, and prepay online at pizzabill.ca or on your Pizzaville app.
Northwood Mortgage. So, how's your blood pressure? Pretty good? What if I said fixed or variable? 3 years or 5, 10, 25%, or maybe no down payment at all? Self-employed, bad credit, lots of consumer debt? So how's...
I'm trying to take a picture of the grapes because they're putting out the little parts of the flower, the first little parts of flower, fuck, I forget what they're called. Standby mode.
That's my identity, which means the D-E-R-E, L-I-C-T, M-C-O, the F-A-B-E. I wanna be, stay hating on me, because I am better than fucking competitor. I say whatever, you bitches can lay the fuck.
So if you thought I was misguided or behaving inappropriately, review everything. Review everything I was able to capture here and everything I said, and then judge me. And note that there's no fucking flooding in the street area. That was my primary goal. My primary goal was to make sure this shit water don't pool up in the streets on top of everything else. Just imagine. You got to hear on the news, oh, this intersection is closed because the ambulance hit a fucking fire hydrant. Now there's shit water in the street and they can't get people in and out of the hospital because they don't have bleach to mop the floor. Just think about it. They run out of oxygen. How come hospitals don't have green roofs and windmills to run the oxygen electrolysis and all that? Okay, what happened to the music?
With all due respect, I don't have pity for none of you guys to see this. That's just the way I feel. Screaming native lives matter, but Indians would rather drink whiskey than pay their bills. The other native this.
Why is it hard to get silver these days? Because savvy investors recognize the value of physical assets in these turbulent times. Real physical gold and silver.
Yes, we see you, Chomo. We pointed out that you were here 20 minutes ago, Chomo. We know, up and down, up and down. We know, but that doesn't stop the audio feed, so I really don't care. I know you can't stand that. Chomo's #1 trigger, me lighting a joint. Absolutely. You watch, we went an hour today before lighting the joint. And when I mentioned that I already did is when all this shit started going ape shit on my screen. Yeah, it's Chomo's #1 fucking thing. They don't like kids that smoke weed, apparently. Oh, well, I guess we'll sit here in silence getting high. What the fuck? Oh, it's horrible, isn't it? And this idiot will sit and stare at a video screen for 8 fucking hours with no sound and nothing happening. Jesus, the mirror's up there, bro. I'm not going through that right now. They've seen it. The stupid up, down, up, down. Oh, dear, this is so exciting, Chomo. Please keep hitting that shit yourself button. That's all it is. You're going to send out as many packets of data as possible to prove how self-righteously as a pedophile angry you are. That's wonderful, bro. That doesn't do anything to us. And it's about to go up and down again, right? It's about 8 seconds. It's malware what you downloaded on your phone, stupid. Here. Just, oh, I can't put it back in. Oh, it's not going to show the bottom of the screen. It's going to show the top. That's no good. Any of that. All right, it was working. I started the fucking thing and just dummy. All right, you're so skilled. You're so skilled. This is how you groom kids, eh? Just breaking their shit and tell them to do stuff for you, and then you'll make it work again.
I just didn't hear
the part you're
missing
is you don't have the capacity to make it work
fact
again.
That there's a backlog of surgery.
Anonymous fed you that fucking piece of software.
Timeline as to when they're going to be able to sort it out.
That's why you can't turn it off. So as long as you're fucking using it to watch us, everything's gonna happen.
Conversation about our healthcare system. You're right.
3 dozen exploits 3 months ago.
That will
now you've got
happen.
1.
I don't know if it's going to happen within the next 6 months, year, 2 years, whether it will be something that we even contemplate, because healthcare in this country is such a tough thing to talk about and not have somebody, kind of, get their knickers in a knot.
Well, I mean, Peter, sorry, people are going to have to get their knickers in a knot. We can't keep pretending that our universal health care is what.
Reporting live, I'm Madison Fitzpatrick. 680 News Time 737. The oxygen supply of an East End hospital is being stretched to the limit because of an influx of patients with COVID-19. Management at Michael Garron Hospital tells 680 News it reached out to other hospitals in the GTA and transferred a small number of patients. A statement from Mark Pham, Vice President of Programs, also says the hospital brought on additional
This is Chomo's life, is to stalk me. For the last year and a half, all he's done is fucking stalk
Michael
me.
Garron
Well,
Hospital
longer
is
than that,
also
apparently.
taking additional precautionary measures to preserve its oxygen supply, including canceling surgeries and diverting some ambulances today.
Canada is expecting a massive influx of vaccines over the next month, according to federal health officials. 680's Parliament Hill report. Quebec Mike Sweeney with the details.
We knew there would be a significant increase of shots arriving in Canada in the month of May. Now, Major General Danny Fortin, the head of federal vaccine distribution, says by the start of June, they're expecting to double the amount of vaccines that have been delivered to our country.
If you look at what we have received to date and distributed, which
Violence
is
in the
approximately
city.
15 million doses.
This is Shane Begum live from the Chinese capital. Coming up in business, how the new economy is driving IPOs in Hong Kong.
They'll replay this. It's live right now because it's
and seminars and whatnot.
40 in the morning.
And I think this could lead the road to a more constructive way to overcome this geopolitical confrontation, which, as I said, it says in the report, it's not a necessity.
Yeah, we can see it freezing up. Like it's you don't have the bandwidth you need to use that software.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel held their 6th round of intergovernmental talks. Merkel has emphasized again the importance of closer ties with China, but.
Sorry, in terms of numbers, you talk about, beds and ICU beds and how Pennsylvania has more than what Ontario has. It's also about nursing staff. It's also about doctors, things that haven't been hired, even though, we've been putting in more ICU beds since this all started.
Right
so it's not just about, the number of beds. It's about, what kind of staff we have.
Well, you know what? There are so many people driving cabs right now who have lots of medical experience from the country they came from and brought it here. And the story I've always heard from them is it's too hard to get the retraining. Retrain them, give them the skills they need to get up to Canadian standards. It's certified. You got a whole talent field.
Remember, we're
already almost trained up, and no one thinks outside the box on these issues. Meanwhile, 2 Toronto-based politicians pressing a Chinese-Canadian doctor to remove a sign from his office door. In Chinese, it refers to COVID-19 as the Wuhan pneumonia. So they complain that the wording could incite anti-Asian hatred. The incident, of course,
they can read Chinese, stupid.
Jesus. About when citing coronavirus origins, if it constitutes a form of racism, Peter, and whether it makes a difference if the audience is Asian itself.
I don't think it does. They translates as, that's what they call it. I don't know. I can't stand China. I have no problem with Chinese people, I hasten to add. And I also have a feeling that the majority of our fairly substantial and contributory Chinese community in the GTA is largely because they don't want to be in the country, in China. So that's one thing. Second thing, when it comes to referring to medical issues, we talk about the UK variant with impunity. We talk about the Spanish flu. We talk about the Brazilian variant. Anybody? Do they have any Brazilians out there who are offended? The swine flu. Any pigs that are offended?
On the cell phone,
we gotta stop.
I'm married to a South African who hasn't
freezing it up, dog. You're making it so goddamn apparent.
We gotta stop worrying about everybody's nose being out of joint, and MPP's wading into this thing. If the Chinese community doesn't like it, they're going to take this doctor to hell and back, and I don't think they have.
Rolling in
no, and I think politeness and this political correct wokeness, Dave, has gotten us into a lot of trouble because a lot of political decision making went to.
Remember, if he's not doing this to me, he's doing it to kids on their tablets or TVs or
Now it's market analyst Timothy Pope. In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index was up by 8.7%. Elsewhere, in Singapore, the Straits Times Index closed up around 1%.
Only getting the IP address after we get to YouTube.
Was up 0.2%.
Think about that. They know damn well what's happening and are refusing to stop it.
Recently have been made by new economy companies fueling growth in the international financial hub.
It up.
By the end of March, 146 new economy companies, including healthcare and biotech firms, had listed in Hong Kong since a major listing reform in 2018. They've raised a combined $682 billion.
You know why when you spit and throw things at me, it don't hit my eyes? The eyelashes. Yeah, that's one of the fucking things that
IPO fundraising. Listing rules have allowed for pre-revenue biotech companies and new economy companies with non-standard share structures to raise capital in Hong Kong.
We're going to go through this over and fucking over, aren't we? So one of the things, so there's, keep it up. So out of the features, yeah, keep it up. Out of all the features that, yeah, keep it up. Keep freezing the screen up. I can hear the audio running, continue. I know you don't believe that. I've shown you the phone 200 fucking times in a row. You've done this 2,200 times in a row, times how many times you've done it per video. You're the most predictable pathological piece of shit out there. Good. The eyelashes, yeah, keep it up. The eyelashes, they're about twice as long as most people's. It's a selection for survival. It's one of the things, just like the ears and all the other things about us, that you know who the fuck we are. You know who the fuck we are by looking at us. You know what we are. That's how fucking programmed you are. Yeah, no, it's 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see if I got it timed right. Oh dear. This is so interesting, isn't it? Yeah, keep showing me my eyes closed, dog. Yeah, are you fucking done? Holy shit, but yeah, keep freezing it up. Settings has stopped. That's interesting. Because no one's using settings except you. Yeah, click on close app. I'm not clicking on it, but I'm watching it try to. That's interesting. Very interesting. You're doing the exact same exploits over and fucking over. You're as programmed as the monkeys that press a bar 10,000 times to get one hit of cocaine. You've done this over 10,000 times. It's more than fucking 100 times per video, bro. That's basically 200,000 times in a row. You've done exactly as predicted. So for what reason is it you have a problem with me? It's either my race or the fact you're a pedophile. That's the only two things you could have a problem with me. You know? The only people that fucking latch onto me like that. Oh. So press this. What have you stopped us from doing? The more hours there are of you doing this, the better.
The premier is going to back down on before May 20th.
God, I hope so. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Go back to doing nothing.
Thank you.
That is Peter Sherman.
Cycling it so fast, it's going to pop up and down.
When we come back, we'll talk to a guy who spent his life in the military, and when he got out, he thought, what do I do now? So he started making candles. And if you want one that smells like Toronto,
interact with a touch
he'll do
screen,
that
but
for
there's
you.
no touch screen on this box.
Stay with us here.
Doesn't
Alex
act how
Pearson
they
on point,
expect
and this is Global News Radio.
Yeah, movement. That's good. Up and down.
Take a look at
And
the roads with
up and down.
upper traffic.
Yeah.
Here's Ari Rabinovich.
Watch out for a new problem spot in Scarborough on the 401 westbound on the Express at Markham Road. A crash.
As I point out, you've done the exact same thing 200,000 times in a row, as documented on this channel. So this channel has nothing to do with this piece of shit. He just won't fuck off. And you can tell that because there's about 8 years of videos, and it's only the last 18 months he's even gotten a reference out loud from us. So we've got another 75 minutes to kill with this.
The incredible thing about the results of this trial is that they were able to show that learning improved.
Clapp's husband, Dr. Michael Trenfa.
São os meus ou não? Quando Sérgio Souza Pinto, Rui Rio participam num evento junto com o Chega, pelo visto eles contribuem para o objetivo de normalizar o Chega, isso a troco de visibilidade. O problema é que visibilidade pode ser positiva.
I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean, because I used to sleep in doorways and park benches, and essentially I've never hidden my address. It's another black, isn't it? So people know basically where I would be sleeping. This eyes closed thing, like, what is that supposed to mean? Make your threat. Make your threat. Okay, like it was more interesting to me when I would see this. Keep it up. Keep it up. The frozen picture of me with my head being jerked around like this, and my eyes all animated outwards and shit, all that weird shit. That was more interesting. This shit's stupid.